So one last BTS before we go on. We have some other strategies to look at today together. What's going on in this picture? Sometimes I ask students to read the image the way they would read text, starting at the top, going left to right, looking carefully and closely, the sweep, coming back, looking for the details. It's okay to take a moment to look at it first. What's going on in this picture?
It's a full moon.
A full moon. And what do you see that makes you say that?
The moon is all circled and
Okay, so it's a big circle, it's a full circle, it's white, it's glowing, it makes you think there's a full moon. So does that tell you anything about does that help us interpret the picture?
Strange things happen.
Sometimes strange things happen when there's a full moon. What else is going on in this picture? Yes.
The clock tower is like illuminated.
Okay, the clock tower is, do you mean inside?
Yeah.
So what makes you think this is illuminated? What does that tell you?
It looks like light shining out of the window.
Okay, does that tell you if it's in the middle of the night and light shining out of the windows? What can we tell from that? What does that information let us know, or able for us to draw what conclusion? What do you think?
maybe there's people that are inside.
There's people inside. The lights are on.
Like a party.
Perhaps there's a party. You see a lot of people, so maybe it's a party. Yes, Rose?
Yeah, it reminds me of something.
What do you see that makes you say that?
Well, there's the rats and the pumpkin, and so there's the party, like she was at the party and the clock struck 1, she had to go, and the fairy godmother changed her back.
Rats?
But she looks, the woman looks like a ghost.
But this woman is a ghost?
Oh.
She has a
I
wand?
didn't notice that. That's what that glowing light was.
Right?
It still looks weird.
Okay, so we're going to take BTS, and now I'm going to show you a series of images, and now our job is to find out what these images have in common. Okay, so we talked about what's going on in this image. Let's look at the next image. What does this picture have in common with the picture, the previous image? Can you go back just for a second? Sure. Thank you so much. And now the next one. So what do they have in common?
2 girls.
2 women. Anything else in common?
Do you want us to make inferences?
Yes, you're making inferences.
Maybe she's attending that party. You know, maybe she's one of those guests.
Okay, so perhaps in the first image there was a party, and in the second image she's preparing for the party. That would be an inference to make.
The woman in the back, that looks very time specific. Like, she's got the white wig and the big poofy gown.
Okay.
It reminds me of like
A
things
certain
I've seen.
era?
Yeah. certain
Okay.
era.
Not contemporary.
No.
So based on what she's dressed, it makes you feel like this is some kind of an historical representation. Okay? Let's try one more image. Now, what do all 3 of these images have in common? So for example, they're all girls, right? We've seen all women, young ladies, and girls. Anything else in common?
Time period looks the same.
The time period seems the same. So historically set. Anything else? The time?
Yeah, it's a little clock.
Oh, they all have clocks or time represented as a key important element. Good looking.
They all, they all look like nice settings. I mean, like the first one's kind of scary, but the castle looks kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
And these,
Fancy.
the last 2 pictures look like they're really well dressed.
Okay, so kind of elegant. Let's see if we can find another word for nice in this context. What do you think?
Fancy.
Fancy? Sophisticated? Okay, so there's a way that we can work up our vocabulary. So please turn to your partner and see if you can tell what our book is going to be about. Now, if I show you this picture, does this confirm what you thought?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And one last one?
Oh, the cinder.
Okay, so if you think you know, let's all say it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Cinderella.
Okay, so you got it straight off. Really careful looking at the rats and the pumpkin. My goal was to try to give you vague images at the beginning and create increasingly detailed visuals that would lead you to the topic. This strategy is called common clues. We're looking for what they have in common. And you're right, we are, well, we're not really, but we're bringing them all together to look at books around Cinderella. So this would be a way that you can start a unit. You might even choose images from different cultural representations and then draw them together as a way to create a common clues activity that would bring them to a topic. So that's one way to use this. So this is based on Anchor Standard number 9, analyzing how 2 or more texts address similar themes or topics in order to help build knowledge or to compare approaches from the author's take. So clearly this would match for a unit on Cinderella. It might do other units, many other units as well. We're going to do one demonstration for an elementary level nonfiction unit. So this is just about the strategy. It's visual-based pre-reading strategy. It's most effective to use to prepare for exposition, but I showed you how it would work for Cinderella as well. Students work in groups to deduce the main topic of the text. It's also a good strategy to introduce a science or social studies unit. You need a series of increasingly detailed images. So now we can go on to the next one. So this is our first image. And so we're going to read this carefully. This is a visual thinking strategy. You can do that, or I can just ask you to look carefully. And here we're taking more of a kind of inventory of the image, more of what do you see than what's going on. And so sharks, we know it's underwater. Look carefully because I'm going to ask you again to look at the next image and tell me what they have in common. Okay? It's a quick one. Thank you. What do they have in common? Animals. What was it? They're both endangered or dangerous? Endangered.
Well, the sharks seem to have fish around them, and the elephant is eating the tree, so I don't know.
Okay, so maybe food. If we can go back to that for a second.
It looks like fish.
Maybe they're eating, there's some kind of little fish, and then the elephant's eating as well, so maybe eating. Anything else?
Somewhat of a close-up of both. I mean, we're getting a pretty good picture of the shark and then a pretty good visual of the elephant.
Okay, so Stephanie's talking about the composition, so close up. Let's look at the third image. So does eating still make sense?
Yeah, because you're seeing tongue, you're
Okay.
seeing like...
Any other things that there's in common? They're still all animals, right? Sharks not really. Yes? What do you mean by that?
Like the giraffe has a long tongue so that it can
Oh,
reach
yeah.
that's high up and a long neck. And
Okay.
then the elephant has the trunk and sharks have gills.
That's a good one.
Okay. I'm going to give you 2 more images and we'll see if it's still about eating or if it's still about adaptations or if it's something else. So now this is not eating, right?
Camouflage.
This is more camouflage.
This
So,
is adaptations.
so does this go along with the other?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last one?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you're right. The unit is animal adaptations. It's from 3rd grade. It's right out of the science book. You can actually use the pictures from your textbooks to do this. Really go right in and take those pictures and use them. Yes, Crystal?
I'm wondering, since you presented the images individually, did you do that just for us, or would you recommend when comparing them, then, for example, on my next slide, should I have the next 2 right next to each other?
You could certainly do that.
way?
Yeah, you could certainly do it that way. I think that that's a great idea. Like building a collage of sorts or a
Almost,
montage.
Or is it strategic to just have them one at a time?
I think you could do it that way first, a collage, and as they get stronger in this practice, then maybe do them separately just to see if they can start thinking that way.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah. Sometimes I've tried to do this with hard copies of the images and giving them half sheets and everybody looks. You say, don't turn over the paper. So that's part of the reason why I like to do it in a PowerPoint format as well, because then I can control how much they see. And so you could use a book like Camouflage in that unit, but again, it's right out of the 3rd grade life science textbook. So using images right from, there's a unit on moving water. Take the pictures of the rivers and take even with your little camera, you can take a picture of it or scan it in and create PowerPoints that way. Plus, we know there's so much on Google Images now. It's really, you can't, everything you can